What is up, Watt Nation? Welcome into the inaugural episode of Real Sports with me, your host, Colin Morris. For the foreseeable future, I am Colin the conqueror of all things sports tonight. Alongside me is my Miss Minutes, Matt Thomas, the cohort, the leader of this flagship enterprise. I am merely but an escape pod for you, sir.
How you doing tonight, Colin?
Cannot complain. We got a beautiful night of basketball ahead of us. We've got a full day of baseball already. And I know folks on this channel are used to a lot of different things. We throw everything at you. We got wrestling. We got Schmodown. We got movie news. We got geek stuff coming at you this week. We geek
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Insane stuff going on here. And we are but the latest addition to this wonderful mecca of entertainment. We are Real Sports. That's spelled R-E-E-L for the folks at HBO. R-E-E-L. All right, now that we got the legal stuff out of the way, let's give you guys a rundown of how this show is going to go. We like movies. We like TV. So every single theme of every single category of all the stuff we're going to talk about is going to throw back to some of your favorite movies, TV shows. We're going to find a way to keep it, keep it meta around here. And Matt, I don't think there's any better way to start off sports than running through the wire. We got tons of news coming through the wire as we speak. It's coming in hot through the presses. I'm going to start out with the biggest pressing issue of the day. Adam Schefter of ESPN reporting that Aaron Rodgers reportedly turned down a 2-year extension that would have kept him in Green Bay for the next 5 years, making him the highest paid athlete in NFL history. He turns that down, says no to that. When I initially read the report, I thought it said something about Denver. I was anxious to read it, and then it was even more going on there. We'll get to more on Aaron later. Next up on the list, we have my most despised coach in the world, Dabo Swinney of Clemson.
You can't say that. Don't say that name.
Clemson.
Don't say that name.
Clemson University says, in response to the expansion of the college football playoff, that there are not 12 teams currently in college football worthy of hanging for the title. I have a feeling Matt has some thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Some sad news out of Los Angeles. Sophomore running back Cam Akers tore his Achilles this morning in practice during their second day of drills yesterday. The rookies reported, and today they were the first team to report veterans. And unfortunately, Cam tearing his Achilles, he's going to be out for the season. I mean, realistically, if there's any chance, it would have to be a Super Bowl return. And at that point, you would have thought that they've probably gone out and gotten some free agent help to replace that. Two more stories. Bryce Young, the name you don't know, but you will by November. Sophomore quarterback for Alabama, hasn't even played a down yet, and he already has $1 million in guaranteed sponsorships before he even starts a game. That is insane, Matt. We are living in a new world. I love it for these kids. God, this is awesome. I am so happy for these kids. And final story just came across the wire as we were setting up the show notes. Peyton Manning and Eli Manning agree to a 3-year deal with Monday Night Football through way of ESPN to host a megacast simultaneously on ESPN2. I, for one, will be watching ESPN2 from now on and not watching whoever they have doing the main broadcast. Matt, I present you with 5 stories spanning the sports world. What sticks out to you?
Let's talk about that guy we both hate in Dabo.
There's only one. Dabo Swinney.
And he is yes.
Yes, indeed.
No, I had to pull up the college football final playoff rankings, and I gotta say, he's insane. And realistically, you have to sit there and say, when he says, "Oh, there's not 12 teams," yeah, there is, because an 11-0 team in Coastal Carolina doesn't get in. Florida, who was 8-3, yes, but at the end of the day, those 3 losses came against 3 of the best teams in the country for the most. It's like Cincinnati 9-0. I feel like if Cincinnati was in any other division, they'd still hang. Like Luke Fickell is a great coach. There's a reason you had all of these other high-profile programs looking to snatch away this past off.
For me, it really comes down to what Dabo's saying is offensive to a small minority of schools. I'll take a bit of problem with your Coastal Carolina remark because any team that team went up against was going to get squashed. Just the talent. I watched every Coastal Carolina game last year. They are a fantastic team to watch. They play well together. But the second that they would go, I mean, they played BYU, a team that they were supposed to play in the regular season. That game got canceled, and then they got trounced in the bowl game by BYU, and their perfect season was squashed. So Dabo does have some evidence to support when it comes to those tinier teams, and most of the teams that I believe he's referring to are the 4 seeds that have come in as conference winners from either the Big 12 or a runner-up in the SEC, and only the runner-ups in the SEC and that one Oklahoma team at the beginning of the playoffs has really put a pressure on a top seed team. And to me, Dabo isn't wrong. He just needs to shut up. Like, he needs to hope for the expansion of college football because his main point was, I remember when it was a big deal to be in the top 25 at the end of the season, and now nobody cares.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You want it to be a big deal. It will be a big deal to make that final 12. What 12 make playoffs? And honestly, who's going to say no to a bunch? You're going to get paid more because you're going to have more games to play. You're going to have more eyes on these kids. It's going like some of these kids are going to get more exposure than they had by playing on that stage. And that may help some's draft stock. That might lower some's draft stock. But that's why they're there to play. They all have that dream or for the most part, of getting into the league. And why wouldn't you want to give them the opportunity to play in these high-profile games and do that? Think about this. Kid I went to school with who ended up going in the second round of the draft, Andy Isabella. The reason he got drafted so high, and it's a shame that Arizona doesn't know how to use him, is based off of the sheer fact that he put up video game numbers against the big teams like Georgia. So why are you not going to give some of these kids at smaller schools the opportunity to show out like that?
Yeah, it used to be that the bowl games had a bit more of weight and, dare I say, gravitas to them. Mm-hmm. But now everything is centered around those New Year's Eve games and eventually the following week of the national title game. And even games like the Rose Bowl have lost their lacquer. You know, games like now it's all rotating, and each year games have a different weight to them. Whether it's the Peach Bowl is now the biggest thing in the world because it's always going to happen in Atlanta. Sorry, folks, there is always going to be football in Atlanta for the next 500 years because of how much money college football has put in that place. That's where the College Football Museum is, for God's sake. They got it all there. So my story that sticks out to me, and I have to say, is this Bryce Young story, because it is the cover for a larger story that is the NIL rules, that is name, image, and likeness, that now college athletes can benefit monetarily off of their name, image, and likeness. So Bryce Young is about to be probably the Heisman favorite next year outside of Spencer Rattler if he gets the starting job at Bama. And for him to already be raking in $1 million worth of sponsorships is huge for college football. And it really makes Trevor Lawrence say, damn, I wish I was a year younger. Not that he didn't just get paid big time for being the number 1 pick. I get that. But it would have been nice to sit in my Clemson dorm room and count stacks.
Hey, don't forget, there might be a dark horse.
Not my Clemson dorm room. I went to South Carolina. I slept in a South Carolina dorm.
And we know you're talking as if you're Trevor. But, I mean, I'm curious because he's pulling this up. He's a sophomore QB. What are some of these first-year freshmen going to get offered? Say, for example, you're a big Gamecock guy. I'm an Ohio State fan. Quinn Ewers, if he wins that starting job and he's considered that next Trevor Lawrence-like quarterback, what if he wins that starting job? Can you just imagine all of the freaking money that's just going to become sponsorship? Like, how can you? I've had
a lot of time to think about this, because this conversation has been going on since Steve Spurrier was the coach of South Carolina, and he made remarks at 2013 South Carolina or SEC Media Days saying that this was coming and we all need to strap in, and the sooner we get on board, the easier our lives are going to be. Look who's talking now. And this, to me, sets up perfectly for college. Every single one of these guys is going to have opportunities. How many local car dealerships are in these college towns? How many businesses that are just like anything? For example, I know my buddy wouldn't mind me speaking on his behalf. My buddy Brevin Galloway, who just transferred from the College of Charleston to Boston College, just had a TikTok go completely viral 3 weeks ago because New Balance just sponsored Boston College, and they're the first school to be sponsored by New Balance. And he took a tour of the facilities on TikTok. Over 1 million views. Got picked up by BR Kicks. Got picked up by Soul Fanatic. All the big shoe stuff. And he's already seen a difference. Every 4 days, I see this dude is now tagging brands in his posts. He got one of those scooters that lights up, and he's tagging them like, thanks, bro. Like, appreciate it. Like, dude, like, it's coming in from everywhere. Like, even brands like, PSD, the underwear brand.
Like
yeah, the underwear brand.
And Mike Miller wore back
exactly. They're already reaching out. They're already putting their stuff in. And, like, I see that in rookies in the NBA. So these guys need to take a looking at, like, any brand that they care about. They now have the opportunity to have support them. So I think that just opens the door to a whole new world.
You brought up local
car
dealerships. Think about this. For some of these smaller schools like an Ohio
Terrell Pryor beat everybody to the punch.
Right. But for some of these smaller schools like an Ohio University, think about the local bars and businesses.
Oh!
Like
every single time I make a three, you guys have to give a free shot.
Right. Like
if I make 5 threes, this bar is going to give a free shot tonight.
Right. No,
legally I can do that.
There's a restaurant in Athens called Big Mama's Burrito. It's a local restaurant. It's like a Chipotle.
That's Athens, Ohio, for people who follow me, not
yes.
Athens, Georgia.
Athens, Ohio. But Jason Preston, perfect example.
Yes.
Probably going to be a end of the first round draft pick this year in the NBA. He could be the sponsor of Big Mama's Burrito, and he could have made money off of that. Granted, I think everyone in that town will speak for Big Mama's Burrito themselves. I've had them once, and it still haunts me because it's delicious. And on a Saturday when you're drunk as hell, that hits the spot.
Well, this is just going to keep going. This is just going to keep blowing up. We're going to see this over the next few years. We're going to keep hearing bigger and bigger deals. Every article is going to say so-and-so and so just signed the biggest contract of a college sports at blah, 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 blah. Keep waiting for those to come, and you'll hear about it here. On to the next subject. It's my favorite time of the year. It's the draft days, folks. We are leading up to special times. It is the NBA draft. We're going to keep this short because we'll have a bigger talk on it next week. Hopefully, after we'll have a finals wrap-up, a more NBA-focused episode next week probably, but finals wrap-up and then a full-on lead into the NBA draft. Matt, I just really want your 2 cents of where you see the prospects, and let's talk about, like, is this class underrated?
I would say they're not underrated. I think they're getting rated just perfectly because this prospects here, a draft I would say was underrated was the 2011 draft because people are like, oh, you have Kyrie and Ez Kanter and I forget who the third guy they said was up top, and then you just have a bunch of players that are going to be role players, and you end up having multiple all-stars come out of that draft,
right?
Multiple. So,
Kyrie, Derek Williams was 2, Enes Kanter, Tristan Thompson. And then out of that draft, you have Kemba, Klay Thompson, Kawhi, Vucevic, Jimmy Butler was the last pick of the first round, and Isaiah Thomas was the last pick of the second round.
Exactly. And Jimmy Butler was one of the names I was thinking of. I wasn't going to say that because I couldn't remember if it was that draft for sure. But that was a draft that was kind of underrated because we got some very good role players out of that, and the Morris brothers, like just overall, that was a good quality draft. You look at some other drafts, there's some real stinkers. The 2002 draft, woof.
There are years. It go like 2002, and then even like I would dare say 05, and some people say it's disrespectful, but like there are names that it drops off. Like they're like the 03 and 04 draft are going to keep this league afloat, like the 2013 and 2016 draft are going to do for the next 10, 15 years.
But this draft, I think for the most part, people are right. There's a couple of potential guys in there like Kuminga and Scotty Barnes who could become those next tier players that you're talking about when you bring up Suggs, Cunningham, Mobley, and Green. Like I think, in my opinion, this is a 4-player heavy draft. But that's what, if you get 4 superstars from this draft, that's literally all you need.
I'm seeing 3 legit superstar, like, and I see ceilings. When I mean 4, I say 4. I see 4 superstar ceilings, and one of them is going to surprise you. I have, obviously, Cade Cunningham. I have Jalen Green. I have Jonathan Kuminga. And then I have Jalen Suggs. I think Jalen Suggs is going to break the Gonzaga curse, because there is a huge wall anytime a Gonzaga player comes to the NBA, and there is just something that they cannot get over and truly be a successful player in the league. And Jalen Suggs is just wired differently. We saw it in the national championship game. Like, that game was over.
Yeah.
That game was over. And then he grabbed the ball and said, no, it's not. And I win. Called game, and one of the most iconic shots I think I've seen in the NCAA tournament since, I would go Kemba Walker, and then all the way down to Derrick Rose to take it to overtime in 2006 or 2007. So, like, that to me is just an all-time level talent that in college that has the actual ability to translate to the NBA, because there's sometimes that star power you build up in college really makes you crash harder when you get to the pros, and I think he has the ability to break through. I like your talk on Scotty Barnes. He's got Draymond Green written all over him.
He's got Draymond Green when Draymond Green learned how to score, because I think Scotty Barnes can.
Like, he's got Siakam. Yeah.
I personally, I'm really high on Mobley. He's one of those big guys who...
You probably watch more Mobley tape than I have, just based off your draft position in the draft.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. He's got a decent jumper if you just keep working on it and keep developing it.
Would you agree that he is James Wiseman 2 years from now? But I believe he has a more developed game than James Wiseman, and yet I think the Warriors would have preferred to have Mobley because he's further along in how he knows he can score. I think he's a more confident scorer.
I would agree.
Which I know Wiseman is not. Like, Wiseman has to be told, like, yo, bro, you can just run at the basket and run it back if you want. Like, you have to tell Mobley what to do.
Mobley's got ball skills. That's something not a lot of people realize. He's a big who can dribble a little bit, which is why there's been talks, and this is what I'm totally fine with. The Cavs are willing to draft him at 3 if they can't move up to 1 for Cade.
Because then you don't have to move Colin and Darius. Because if you end up taking Jalen Green, if he's there, that starts those conversations of let's get those trades. Or Suggs, right, if they're there. And you start up that conversation of, is Sexland over?
Well, not only that, it allows you to kind of start to move away from Kevin Love. Because if you have a big who can shoot, and you put him next to Jared Allen,
Kevin Love's getting bought out, and he's winning a championship next year with whatever team wants to buy him out.
I don't know if that's going to happen, because there's nothing that Cleveland can, like. There's no, Cleveland has to eat that on the books. There's buyout this year, unlikely. Buyout next
year. Okay,
yes,
I'm with you there.
But it allows them to get a big, because even if they don't trade Kevin Love, wouldn't you love to have, if you draft Mobley, a big who can shoot, who can help him work on that jumper?
Did you watch Kevin Love in the USA games? You want that guy teaching the future of your franchise? I want
the Kevin Love who I saw playing.
You might want to take Kevin Love's contract and pay Kevin Garnett to come in and be his private shooting coach.
I want the Kevin Love who showed up at the end of this NBA season, was actually shooting the rock decently well.
He put up great numbers. He was a fantastic fantasy pickup. If you picked him up, which we'll do this year. We're doing every fantasy league, by the way, folks. Every single fantasy league is running through these two mofos on screen right now. We are going to do everything this year. Is going to be a blast. Yeah. Last thoughts because we'll go way deep next week. Yeah. One name that a lot of people I think are really sleeping on, and this is just
Kispert?
A little bit. Kispert.
Yep.
Kispert is
Klay Thompson 2.0.
He's basically Klay Thompson.
He's got the same issues Klay had coming out of college.
Keep going. I gotta take this hoodie off.
Yeah. He had the same issues. People are saying he has the same issues Klay had coming out of college. No defense, perfect league-made shot that's ready to go. I'm like, yeah. And look what happened to Klay. You get him in the right system under the right tutelage, and this guy has what it takes because he has a high defensive IQ. The Warriors pick him up at
14. Just picture it. Just picture the Warriors picking him up at 14, and they take Davion Mitchell at 7. Whoa!
You know what?
That's the perfect draft.
You know what? I'm hoping they take him at. Actually, I'm hoping they don't take him out. I'm hoping they trade for Colin Sexton, who I absolutely love, and we take Corey Kispert.
I love what Kispert brings. He's actually has hustle, and the thing that he is more Klay Thompson, less Joe Ingles, is his perimeter on-ball defense. And he was the main person locking down the perimeter scores for every single team that ran through Gonzaga during that tournament run last year.
But he still got burnt at times.
That's fine. That's not your job as a two-guard to be locked down all the time if you are a premier scorer. It's 3 and D, not D and 3.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean...
So, we'll have a lot to do next week. I'm going to work on a draft board. I'm going to really focus this week.
We'll bring on some guys because you remember what we did for the NBA draft? I think that's what we need to – or for the NFL draft? I think that's what we need to do here.
We'll do a watch-along. That'll be fun. We'll have a little party. Come on down.
We might have a watch-along. It'll depend because something may return next week. So I'm not –
Ooh, spooky, and that's all I'll give you.
No guarantees, but it's possible. So I'm just...
Well, something else that is possible is the Olympics actually happening, which brings us to my next fantastic pun, heavy metals. Oh, welcome in is we're just going to run through the Olympics, but we're going to try to cover because, I mean, millennials, I don't know what it is about us. Bud. I love the Olympics.
I care about USA basketball and USA hockey.
Okay, well then welcome in because we are going to cover swimming if you want, if you're nasty, even though none of my dudes are in it. And the only one I know is, I already forgot her name. And that's terrible for me. But we're really just going to cover the medal count. And we're going to talk about, obviously, the USA basketball games. We'll talk about soccer. Soccer is going to be huge. It's basically the mini World Cup going on. And my number one pick for who is going to be who's going to grow the biggest, right? There's always America's sweetheart that comes through. And it's just the right time for Nyjah Houston. Teenage phenom. Now he's in his 20s. Skateboard park legend. Finally has the ability, after they've added skateboard park into the Olympics, he's going to get his chance to go on the main stage. And if the X Game ratings from this weekend give us any indication, there is an audience for this, and it is going to be big, and I cannot wait. Let's give our medal predictions for basketball, Matt, and bring it back to you.
It's tough because
Is USA winning? Because that's the conversation.
I think USA is getting silver or bronze.
I think they might lose in the semifinals. So that bronze would mean they lose in the semifinals, and then they win the semifinals if they get silver and they lose in the final. Yeah, I don't know which one's more depressing, but yeah.
I felt better after that Spain game, but we should mention there are talks that the Olympics may end up canceled.
Oh yes, 100%. I was going to mention that. Yeah, 100%. There are talks that this is a $20 billion
loss for Tokyo.
Yeah. This could be worse than after like World War II economics. Like they have put so much into this that they wouldn't. Yes, let's go, Nyjah!
What's up, Maddie?
Woo! Thanks for joining us, bud. Like Oh, exactly. There's so much going on here. Like Niger, and if we don't know, World Championships just happened, lost out to Yudo, and this is like we have raised the level of what's going on here. And X Games this weekend, there's this 12-year-old kid that did a 1200 in front of Tony Hawk, who did the first 900. Oh no, he did a 1080. It was a 900. Some crazy thing. This kid broke Tony Hawk's thing that he did at 25, and this kid's doing it at 12. So like there are kids all over the world right now. It's gonna be crazy. We also talk about Simone Biles as well. If we get the gymnastics,
See,
I love me a
Simone.
floor routine, baby. I love me a good floor routine.
No.
Shout out Kaylin O'Hanesy. Oh, 1080. Thanks, Gunnar. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Spain's going to be the winner this year. I'm just going to be flat out. Spain,
If it's not Spain, it's Australia, just because of how well that team plays together.
Australia, I feel like.
Don't you want to watch Ricky Rubio and Matthew Dellavedova go at it in the gold medal game?
Yeah, but if Delhi performs at a high level, it's going to make me even more sad as a Cavs fan that he just retired from the NBA and he's like, I'm going to go play Australian basketball to end my career. But that's just me.
Hell. I'm in. What other Olympic sports did you watch as a kid? I know you had to watch some of them.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm primarily a Winter Olympics guy.
What's your Winter Olympic sport? If you say curling, I'll kiss you.
Bobsled. I love bobsled.
Because we're the WAP boys, we got the bobsled team. hey.
No, my love for the Winter Olympics kind of grew in elementary school because there was a kid I went to school with who was related to someone on the U.S. bobsled team.
I thought you were going to say Jamaican bobsled team, and I was about to be like, how have we not talked about this until now?
No, he was on the U.S. bobsled team, and I fell in love with the sport watching just to be like, because afterwards the guy came to our school and everything, so it was a cool experience, and I've followed that ever since. I love watching the skiing events, even figure skating. I'm not like I love hockey. I love the Winter Olympics. I love the Winter Olympics. For summer, I'm like, basketball, please. Okay, I'm done.
Fair. So, folks, that's it for Heavy Metals this week. We'll be back. Obviously, the opening ceremonies are on Friday. Soccer action actually starts tomorrow for the women's national team. So, hop on that. Love all those ladies over there. Hope they will definitely bring home the gold this year. They are absolutely stacked. They are returning so many people that it is absolutely insane. Shout out Julie Ertz. That brings us as a nice segue into the league, which we will be discussing. Today's league is the NFL because, sir, can you smell it? The freshly cut AstroTurf at the practice facility.
That's grass in Cleveland, buddy. That is actual grass.
Smell it. Smells good. Ravens rookies reported today. Lions rookies reported today. Jets rookies reported today. And unfortunately, like we mentioned, some Rams and Steelers and Cowboys also had people report earlier in the week because of the teams playing earlier in the Hall of Fame game. Yes. Let's start it out. Let's get this awkward conversation out of the way. Folks, yes, I am a Baltimore Ravens fan hosting a show on this network, so you can kiss my ass on Sundays. But today's Tuesday, so we're friends because we've had a day to think about it already. But Matt Thomas is one of my best friends in the entire world, and this dude is a Cleveland Browns fan, and we prove that the two of us can coexist on screen at the same time. Now, when it comes to 2 to possibly 3 games this season played between these two teams, that will be some what is up, Wingblade? That would be some of the gnarliest conversations that go down because that will be real. That is what we are here. We are real sports. We keep it real here. Let's get into it. Talk to me about your brownies. What's the latest this week? What is going on in the land?
Yeah. Not much. We're getting ready. Training camp starts next week for us.
Any holdouts?
No.
Wow.
No holdouts. Great. I know we have one rookie still waiting to sign their contract.
We just had Ben Cleveland was our last rookie, so I think all our rookies are signed now.
Greg Newsome still hasn't signed.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the big one.
Second round, right? Second round?
That's our first round.
First round. You guys were so late in the first round this year. Maybe you guys were usually so early. You know, this maybe think it was a second round pick.
And we arguably got the best quarterback on. Arguably, though, I feel like all the quarterbacks this year were like this, and it just depended on who your preference was.
Yeah, to me, all the quarterbacks this year in the draft were moldable for the first time. They all were more easier to work around. You know, obviously, freaking what's the Shanahan went out and got his guy. He went out and got.
I was talking about corner.
Oh, apologies corner, for the internet.
Because your boy from South Carolina,
J.C. Horn, shout out, went to Panthers. They just released a report this week. We'll talk about it next week if you want. It was the the top 50 ranked defensive back coaches in the country. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, LSU. Number 3, South Carolina. Let's go. That's such a big pull. Like, that's such a big pull for us.
Yeah. But no, it's because let's see. We had J.C. Horn. You had Patrick. It's not Queen.
Let's go, Buck. We're about to get into our finals talk. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
It was Patrick. Why am I slipping on their freaking name? The cornerbacks. The one who got drafted by Dallas, if I remember correctly.
Oh, Patrick Claiborne? No.
It's not Claiborne.
Patrick. He went to LSU, right?
Shocking. I pulled up the draft.
Man, this is
good. This is good.
No, but it's the cornerback market now is
Pat Surtain.
Pat Surtain, and he went to Alabama. Thank you.
Yes. And then you had Greg Newsome went, Caleb Fairley. I feel like Greg Newsome, all of them were razor thin margins just in between them. It's not like they were all like Greg Newsome. The biggest knock about him, he's got one interception in his career, but he also has one of the lowest completion ratings allowed, and he has a ton of passes deflected. So, like, sure, he doesn't have the interceptions to match him, but at the end of the day, it's about deflecting those passes and having that low completion rating. You know what I mean?
Does this remind you, though, of the Johnny Manziel draft? Like, in terms of the pick? Because who is the guy that y'all drafted out of Oklahoma State?
Justin Gilbert. And
Gilbert.
No, it doesn't, because Justin Gilbert didn't have all this great tape. It was just he was
open picks. They made it look good. Highlights.
He looked good. He was young.
It also helps when you're in the Big 12 and they throw the fucking ball every down.
They said he was raw going into it. So, like, he's one of those guys you got to work with. So, I'm not like Greg Newsome is ready to start for the most part. So it's different. And
you're right.
Granted, there's talks that we may trade Greedy Williams, our second and our fourth.
I love Greedy. He's one of my favorite dudes in Madden. I love picking Greedy up because he's developable. He still has.
Who's the disgruntled cornerback in
Stephon Gilmore. He's not going to the Browns.
No, not Gilmore. In Miami. The disgruntled cornerback who's holding out Miami. I think it's Xavier Howard.
Xavier Howard. Yep.
There's talks that the Browns are engaged with Miami for him, and that would be Greedy and a package of picks for Xavier Howard, which
there's also talks when I just type in his name, Malik Hooker with the Steelers is in talks and trades for possibly a Xavier Howard swap. So
which I laugh at because they just signed him.
Brandon, look, if he's my favorite guy in Madden, it means I respect him, and it means that I know that he has talent. All right, just like Andy Isabella, who I set the league receiving record with for most yards in a single season because the dude's always open in the slot. Matt, I can tell you a lot of things. LeBron James, whenever he adds a new teammate, goes and plays with them in 2K, and you can learn a lot about your teammates by the way that these game developers have actually narrowed down their talent. It's absolutely legit. So we'll run over to the Ravens. Like I said, Ben Cleveland got signed this week. He's a huge pickup for us out of Georgia. A huge guard. Can really, really solidify the interior, which is going to be seeing a lot of my man, J.K. Elf Dobbins. Free my boy, J.K. Dobbins, and let him
I hate to
loose
see
on
him
this
in a
league.
Ravens uniform.
He is so nasty, dude. I love him. He has. I cannot wait for 2 years from now when his Saquon Barkley, my thighs and calves are so massive video comes out. It's gonna be sick. Oh, what was that? That fell. Oh well.
Man, there's been 2 times in my life where I've said, I'm going to buy this player's jersey no matter what team they get drafted to. One was Ezekiel Elliott. He went to the Cowboys. I said, screw that, I ain't buying it. The other was J.K. Dobbins. He went to the Ravens. I said, screw
You can just
that,
buy
I'm
me
not
the
buying
jersey if you want to support him.
it. No,
You want to buy me the jersey?
I'm Gucci.
We can. Oh, we should make a jersey bet at the end of the year. If Clowney ends up on the Browns, I'll get you a Clowney jersey, and then if we have more wins, you give me a Dobbins jersey.
Nah.
Oh, we got to bet some bets on Mountain Dew. We need a Mountain Dew version. We can't steal Mountain Dew from the goats. Come on.
Nah. Well,
Okay.
we'll figure it out. Well, it ain't gonna be a jersey.
Well, let's talk about the last story in the league, and that is Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who, like I said before, in the wire portion of the show, turned down that 2-year extension, would have kept him in Green Bay for 5 more years. Matt, your initial reaction to that and your prediction on how this goes, because I think it's either he stays in Green Bay, he gets traded, or he might just sit out the season.
My reaction
In which case,
is,
buy your Jordan Love cards.
my reaction for all scenarios is he gone. He's gone. It's gonna be either a trade. He's gone on record. I had no issue retiring. I've had a good career, so he's recently engaged. He'll be able to spend time with his wife at the end of the day. He's made enough money. Dude doesn't have to play.
Like, he can go host Jeopardy, and this is not
live
like
a happy life.
okay, I'm gonna go full Zillennial or Gen Z on you. Like, that is not cap. No cap. He will go host Jeopardy right now. He does not
He has
care.
said he is interested in taking.
He's sleeping with Shailene Woodley. He doesn't give a shit about football. He is good. He is fine. And here's the one thing I took from this, and with all the Rams news been coming out recently, Matt Stafford said anything, or it was what was her name? Kate on Good Morning Football said today, anything but a Super Bowl is failure for the Rams. Are they mad that they pulled the trigger too soon?
Probably. But
Because that seems to me, out of all the places being talked about, let's be realistic, out of all the places being talked about, we have Denver, and that's really the only one I like. It's honestly the only one I like for him. Everything else I think is booty. The Raiders is a booty trade, and it'd be cool to go to Vegas, like, I guess. Like, Vegas is fine, like, but we just haven't figured out, like, is John Gruden the dude to lead you in the...
I think if he has Aaron Rodgers, yeah, because, I mean, to be fair, even though that trade is duty, the Raiders would automatically be Super Bowl favorites. Because
what
look
happens to Derek Carr in that situation? I think that's a 3-team trade. I think Derek Carr would have to go somewhere else because there's no way Green Bay would commit to Derek Carr. No way in holy
Derek
hell.
Carr's only got like a year or two left on his contract, which
So he could hang around.
You let Jordan Love keep sitting because apparently he's still not ready. Not a shocker.
You wait for a QB to get injured, and then you trade Derek Carr for a 3rd-round pick, and then all is well that's in. Well, yeah, that all works out. But back to Aaron, where else can he go?
Nowhere. I mean,
who wants to pay that money? Like, that's a lot of money, and a lot of teams are...
I would say the Patriots, but they just blew their load on tight ends this offseason.
Every single one of them. Jerry Sandusky did. I mean, geez Louise, blew the load all over the place. Like, come on. Like, this is ridiculous in terms of thinking that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the history. Yes, Shug, a sports show on a Tuesday. We got the club going up on a Tuesday in this house. If it's not Denver, I think he stays. I think he forces his way into Denver. He doesn't retire. I think he stays because there's no way you leave Devontae Adams at 28 without, like, realistically looking and saying, like, I could do something with this.
Pause. Who has Devontae Adams gone on record saying he wants to play with that quarterback?
That was Aaron Rodgers, and he
Besides
said,
Aaron Rodgers.
"Oh, Derek Carr, who was his quarterback in Fresno State." Okay, yeah. Okay. So that lends a little more to the Raiders. I bumped the Raiders up a little bit of percentages in the likelihood they might be third, but the AFC West is looking gnarly. Could you imagine if you had Patrick Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers twice? It's like the new version of Drew Brees and Tom Brady last year. Like those guys never played, and suddenly it was twice.
And I will say this: I think people are jumping the guns, crowning the Chiefs the AFC favorite again because people need to stop and think. They literally just rebuilt their entire offensive line from the ground up. The ground up.
Pretty damn well, too.
Yeah, pretty well on paper. But people have to remember.
Talking about the Chiefs?
Lines, yeah, the Chiefs.
Yeah. You're
People have to
welcome
remember-
for Orlando Brown, Chiefs Nation.
Offensive lines have to gel. That's what people forget. Because a lot of these offensive lines that succeed, they're either you get a rookie who with a decent amount of veterans, or succeed right away. Look at the Browns; they added one piece this past offseason, two pieces, a good veteran to go along with a line that had a young player who was coming back after sitting basically the entire last offseason. Two already veterans, and then you drafted a rookie who was willing to learn, a veteran who can plug and play everywhere. But those first couple of weeks looked a little rough.
Right.
That it's going to take an offensive line a week or at least 2 weeks minimum. Honestly, you could argue 3 weeks minimum to start to gel in the proper way.
Right.
So people are crowning the Chiefs, and I get it, but he was running for his life in that Super Bowl game. One of the guys you got is coming out of retirement after 2 years out of the league, and we want to be like, yeah, it's going to be a great right away. No, it's not.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
And I think if Aaron Rodgers ends up in that situation, oh my God, if he ends up with the Raiders have a decent defense. They want to.
The offense is fire. Darren Waller is a top 4 tight end in the league right now. They have Brian Edwards. They have Hunter Renfrow. They have tons of college talent, and the receivers are there for them to work with.
The line was good. The line was good.
Josh Jacobs, ever heard of him?
Yeah. And their issue this past year was their defensive line, which they decided to go out.
Don't they have Henry Ruggs? Throw the ball to Henry Ruggs. He's one of the best receivers I've ever seen in my life.
But the issue was their defensive line. They couldn't get pressure on the QB outside of Max. What's his name? He came out of Eastern Michigan.
Oh, the dude, Crosby?
Yes, Max Crosby. They couldn't get any pressure except for Max Crosby. And guess what? They went out and signed former Raven, former Viking, former Jaguar.
Oh, he's the guy that he's the first. He's the guy that came out as gay.
No.
That's the other guy. Not Max Crosby. This is Max Crosby with 2 X's. My apologies to Max Crosby with 2 X's.
No, that's Carl Nassib.
Carl Nassib, the guy with the brilliant brain who taught us all how to invest our money on Hard Knocks. And we will be doing Hard Knocks reviews on here, by the way, too.
Former Cleveland Brown. My God. No, he just was traded to the Ravens this past season after being traded to the Vikings from the Jaguars.
Yannick Ngakoue.
They signed Yannick Ngakoue.
Yanni.
So that's a guy who you now have pressure coming from both sides. So
he's not that good.
He's not. I know he's not that good, but he's good enough to at least give you someone else adding pressure. I mean,
he was all right. I like him. Y'all
didn't have to give up as much as the Vikings did for him. Look at it that way.
Well, we'll have so much more NFL talk because training camps are opening up as we speak. Day after day, more players are reporting to camp, which makes me so happy because then I can just turn on NFL Network and it's just training camp on all day long. And it is the best time of the year. You just turn on NFL Network, kick back, relax around the league, and they just tell you everything you need to know as this brings us to the last portion of the show, which I appropriately have dubbed Scott Foster versus the World, which is our NBA Finals talk, as Scott Foster is currently officiating Game 6 right now. It is 6-2 with 8 minutes left, as I see on my screen. Bucks are up 6-2. They're up 3-2 currently in the series. Matt, let's just give your quick review of the series so far and where you see it going.
Scott Foster screwed the Suns in that first game he was officiating. Last game, I don't know what the hell happened to the Suns in that second quarter. They went from being up 16 to down 3 at half, and I was like, huh? How does that hot shooting go cold like that? Granted, they got themselves back into the game, but I was talking to Dwayne and Brad Gilmore before we started the stream, and Brad had a perfect point. CP3, why did you foul Giannis? Why? You use your head. You're only down 1. That leaving him alone for that dunk puts you down 3. You have yourself and Devin Booker, and look at all the shooters that team has. You have good shooters. You hit a 3, you tie the game, you go to overtime. But no, you fouled him. Giannis missed. You couldn't end up rebounding the ball, and you lost.
And now we're back in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is up 1
with
a chance
Scott
to close
Foster
out at home. And Scott Foster is manning the helm. If you don't know who Scott Foster is, he's the wildest official since the dude that gambled away all his money and lost all respect to the league. What was his name? Tim something? Donahue or something? What is his name?
Yeah, and he ref the entire. If I remember correctly, he's the reason we started switching the refs.
Yes, he is the reason why refs are no longer allowed to coach consecutive games in NBA playoffs.
Yes.
So give me your predictions as we wrap up this episode, sir.
I have the Bucks winning, but I want and I hope that my boys in orange, because I want CP3 to get a ring so bad.
I really want CP3 to get a ring. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I just want CP3 to get a ring. I don't give a fuck about anybody else on that team, to be completely honest. I just want CP3 to get a ring.
And then, if I remember correctly, I got
and Devin Booker to break the Kardashian curse that anyone related to that family in any way cannot be successful in sports. So, I want him to just break that curse.
I gotta check the bracket, but I think my brother might be playing tonight. I'm gonna check.
In what? Playing in what?
No, excuse me. He plays. Oh snap! He plays Friday. I might try to go to Columbus on Friday.
What's he playing in? You got to speak to the people.
The tournament, the basketball tournament.
TBT. Oh, the basketball tournament.
Yeah.
The $1 million tournament. I love that. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite summertime pastimes.
Demetrius Treadwell, whose jersey's right here. He's the closest thing I have to an older brother.
Any relation?
We call each other brothers. He's the closest thing I have to a brother. I got close.
Did you say his last name is Spreewell?
Treadwell.
Treadwell. I thought you said Spreewell. No. My apologies. Treadwell. I was like, any relation?
No. But he's one of my favorite people on this earth. And he's always watching my back, taking care of me, all that. And they're the 16th seed against Carmen's crew. So it's Mid-American Unity versus.
That'll be awesome.
I like your optimism, Brandon.
Brandon, I'm with you, and unfortunately Vegas is not, but I myself am with you and Suns Nation. Also, I'd be remorseful, remissful, whatever those people say.
Yeah.
F1 race this weekend was absolutely phenomenal at Silverstone in the UK. Max Verstappen went out at lap number 2 because Lewis Hamilton had a racing incident, clipped him, threw Max Verstappen into the wall. The points leader in the league. I love F1. If you haven't seen Drive to Survive on Netflix, I highly recommend y'all sit down and watch it. It's a fantastic documentary. It will get you addicted because there is some stuff going on in F1 that is just like next level sports. It is up there. And obviously, if it's been going for 80 years, they got to be doing something right. So we'll talk a little F1 in the coming weeks. And luckily, it's only every 2 weeks, so you won't have to hear me every week talking about F1. And there's a bit of a break coming up too. But I'll give my picks and stuff because sometimes you never know. What I say can make you some money, folks. If any of y'all ever make a prop bet for something we say on this show, report it to us, send it to us on Twitter. We'd be happy to assist you in spending your winnings. And that brings us to the end of the first edition of Real Sports here.
Kind of shortened and abbreviated, going a little bit quicker than we want to go.
Yo, you mean no commercials? This is basically as long as First Take is. We've basically been doing what they do.
Fair.
So, I mean, for real. Next week, hopefully have a bit bigger of a crew. We're going to be talking NBA draft. It's going to be a serious NBA draft episode. We're going to be finishing up the NBA finals because Game 7 will be this weekend.
We will go probably a little bit different than we did for the NFL draft, where we did each person pick the team. Realistically, I think we might do a consensus draft and have everybody talk, who knows what's going on, talk about the pick and why that person would be the pick. Go around round table, do the lottery. Not the full 32.
I would say we do maybe the top 8 teams because it's really where it gets interesting. And once I get to the Kings pick, I don't give a shit.
Well, no, I feel like the top 14 makes sense because
14 because you get 2 Warriors picks and you close out the lottery. So yeah, we can do a little bit of that.
Do the full lottery. Full lottery
for
makes
sure.
sense.
Yeah, we'll run it down. It'll be a bit more NBA heavy for sure, and we'll get everybody's opinions in. We'll do the mock draft.
Yeah. But tomorrow, issue 1 of Real Geek Core, they'll be talking about fan expectations, the viewing experience, geek news, and more. Thursday, a special Thursday night Wrestle Reel, the main event. Really excited for this. They're doing a super show, so that's Nick and Chris. Saturday, got Saber Reels. No graphic for it right here because I just have the graphic. We have big things for. Sunday, we are no longer doing the Snake Eyes talk. Instead, Nick and I will be having people on to talk about the 48-hour film project here in Cleveland. So I'm excited about having that. It's gonna get a little view of the independent film community in Cleveland. And then Monday, we have Jesse Swift and Paige Fabretti on to talk about their matches this week on Spin from the Reel, and what our Collision Force speculation will be, and more. So that's what we got going on this network.
Well, Matt,
it's
I just
Toby and
say...
Connor on Sunday Toby and Colin on Saturday for Saber Reels. Toby and Colin. I unfortunately will not be there.
That's me, and Toby is Toby, and we will be here on Saturday breaking down a little Bad Batch and anything else that just so happens to pop up in the Star Wars universe, like the fact that my Omega Pop came damaged from Target.com. Damn you, Target! Ugh. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of Real Sports. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. We will be back next week. And right now, I'm about to go finish this NBA Finals because this could be the last basketball game for a very long time.
Well, the last NBA game for a very long time.
The last game that I actually give a fuck about. But, folks, thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. Come back, share this video. Let us know if you liked it, if you hated it. I don't care. Tell me. I can take anything. I'm a sensitive guy, but I take negativity well. I think, at least. Sometimes I might smack you if you say something mean, but who cares? We'll be back. Welcome to this hallowed hall for sports and just having a good time and just
logo coming soon.
Logo coming soon. It's going to be sick. I cannot wait. That's Matt Thomas. Find him over at WattReal and find me over at _C Morris. And hey, if you ever got a question, hit that Streamlabs. Streamlabs.com/whoarethay podcast. And we'll bring it on down, and you can buy me a Big Mac or something. And, folks, that will do it. We'll see you next week. It's NBA Draft Week. We'll be back. This has been Real Sports, and we'll see you next time.